Tree, Chapter 14, Part 3. Later, Sunday evening, Marcus Savage was at the stove, heating leftover beef stew, when he heard Kirky's motorcycle screech to a halt in front of the shack. He kept on stirring the greasy chunks in the bubbling gravy. "Wonder what that son of a bitch wants here. Something to do with the killing, I'll bet." A knock came on the door. "Yeah, what do you want?" The knob creaked, then Kirky was in the room. "Well, well, look who's cooking Sunday dinner. Mr. Savage's little innocent child." Without turning, Marcus spat in the coal bucket and kept on stirring. "What the hell you want here, brass ass?" He spat again. "You come to give me a ride to church? Watch your goddamn trap, boy," Kirky snarled, "or you might have to dig my foot out of your black ass. You ain't got no business here, so get out. I had enough trouble out of you." "Well, you're going to have a lot more if you ain't got the right answers to some questions I'm going to ask you." "Yeah? Yeah. Where was you between 1 and 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon?" Marcus pulled 2 tin pans from the shelf above him. A cockroach jumped from a top one onto his arm. He shook it to the floor and squashed it with his foot before it could get away. He planked the tins on a nearby table, scraping the boiling stew equally into each one, pushed back a curtain, and called out, "Come on to dinner, Pa." Then, kicking a small barrel in place, he sat on it and began to eat. "You hear my question, boy?" Kirky asked. Marcus chewed out his retort. "How low'd you have to be in this stinking town for white trash quit calling you boy?" "Oh, I begs your pardon, Master Savage, sir. Now, would you mind telling this poor humble white trash where your sweet noble black ass was yesterday between 1 and 4, please, sir? And what did you do with all them green bottles of peach brandy and applejack you stole out of Jake's?" Marcus shot up like a uncoiling spring. "I was at your mammy's, you—" Kirky cocked his fist and moved forward. "What's going on in here? What's all this fuss?" Booker Savage's big menacing frame, naked from the waist up, ambled through the doorway. Kirky's arm dropped to his side. "I'm just trying to clear your hot-headed son here from some trouble that's brewing, that's all. I'm trying to find out where he was when Jake Kiner was killed." "Jake Kiner? Jake Kiner's dead? You kiddin'? You ain't heard?" "No, I've been here all day sleeping." "Well, he was killed yesterday in his barn." Booker shook his head. "Well, ain't that something?" And then he turned to Marcus. "Where was you, boy?" Marcus grumbled. "I cleaned up at Chappie's in the morning, and then I went to Blance Newhall's and helped Waldo clean out her basement about 12 to 5. That's where I was at. If you don't believe me, go out and ask her yourself." He pulled a silver dollar from his pocket. "Right here's the money she give me for doing it. Every goddamn bit of it." "All right, boy, I'll ask her." Kirky scowled. "I'll sure ask her." He went out the door and banged it shut. Marcus was still eating when, a few minutes later, Booker left the kitchen, went into the bedroom, and returned with a blue shirt. Dark stains were on his lower sleeves. Booker lifted the stove lid and shoved the shirt in the fire. "Goddamn chicken, got blood all over me." "What chicken?" Marcus asked. "The one I killed for Magpullins the other day." "Oh." Booker got drunker as the evening wore on, and eventually he stumbled to the other room and flopped down onto the soggy pallet that he shared with his son. Before long he was snoring, groaning, and cursing. Marcus couldn't stomach the racket, so he pulled 2 chairs together for a bed in the kitchen. They didn't suit him. Then he lay upon the floor for a few minutes, rolling from side to side, straining for comfort. Finally he remembered an old mattress he'd seen in the coal shed. He lit a lantern and went outside for it. He'd already lifted the mattress and was turning back when his light struck the green bottle sticking up from the gunny sack. "Where in the hell the old man get all that booze, I wonder? Must have stole it someplace." He pulled the door to and started up the path. Then he turned quickly and re-entered the shed, holding the light close to the bottles. "God damn, Kirky said something about green bottles. Wonder if the old man— God damn, this is something. I can't believe it. God damn." He tossed an old quilt over the bottle, shut the door, and headed back toward the shack. "Ain't this a bitch? Ain't this a bitch?" He was breathing heavily by the time he reached the kitchen door, pushing it open with his shoulder. He closed it quietly behind him and dumped the mattress on the floor. Then he put the lantern on the table and sat on the chair, listening to the fitful snoring in the next room. Finally, he jacked up the lantern chimney and blew out the flame. Then he leaned on the table, his arms crossed beneath his head. "Oh, oh, oh, look out, look out. No, no, let me go. Let me go. Oh." Mark's head lifted to Booker's hollering, then dropped back wearily on his arms. He couldn't sleep, and he didn't try. He just closed his eyes and tried not to think. The next morning, as Marcus peeped into the icebox, Booker staggered in holding a half-empty bottle of peach brandy. "You ain't gonna find nothing to chaw on in that thing. There ain't even no ice in it." Marcus spoke without looking up at his father. "I'm so hungry I could eat the bark off a tree." Booker grunted, lifted the bottle to his mouth, took 2 hefty swallows, and wiped his lips with the back of his wrist. "Well, lest you spend that dollar you was showing off when Kirky was here, you better start skinning the big cottonwood this side of the house. It's got plenty of bark." He grunted again and turned back toward the bedroom. "Pa, where'd you get all that booze you got hid out in the shed?" "What booze you talking about, boy?" His red eyes were glowing with meanness as he wheeled drunkenly to face Marcus. "What booze you talking about?" "That booze in them green bottles in the gunny sack that was under this mattress, like the bottle you got in your hand now." "What you been snooping around like a filthy black cat for? Spying on me or something?" "I wasn't snooping. I wanted the mattress to sleep on. You was hollering and farting all night, so I went out to the shed to get it, and come across all them bottles." "Ain't none of your business where I got it. Keep your goddamn trap shut or I'll put my fist in it." His body trembled under the fury of his threat. Marcus eyed the bottle and his father's grab. "Okay, Pa, guess you know what you're doing, but if you don't, you better ask somebody. And you know well as I do, ain't too many around here hankering for your asking." "What you getting at, boy?" "I'm trying to say, if you got some kind of trouble, you ought to tell me about it. I'm your son, ain't I?" "I had to take your ma's word for that, boy." Marcus bristled. "Why, he weighed his chances against the burly 250 pounds, decided against finishing the sentence. Instead, he stood looking at Booker, feeling a hatred that he thought himself incapable of possessing. All at once he shuddered, burst into a frantic sob, and lunged toward his father with both fists flying, expecting to go down under a hail of blows, and really not caring. But Booker just grabbed him about the waist and held him as if he were in a vice. "Simmer down, boy, simmer down." He'd become unexpectedly contrite. "Your old man's sorry for saying such a thing. Honest, boy, I'm sorry." Gradually he released his hold, and Marcus stood free, stunned at the first kind words he could ever remember his father speaking to him, and the tough shell that for years had shut him off from tender emotion gave way for an unusual moment, and Marcus gave himself to this rare instant in a flood of tears. "You think I killed old Jake, don't you, boy?" Marcus was silent. "Well, boy, I did kill him. I didn't mean to, but he caught me breaking in his place, and it was my only way out, and he hit me with that damn whip, same as he did you. You believe me, boy? Yeah. It's our secret, ain't it, boy? Don't be forgetting I'm your old man. You could get us both in lots of trouble around here. You know that, don't you? Yeah. Then I kind of depend on you, huh? Yeah. Good boy, good boy." His hand went toward his son's shoulders, but Marcus avoided it and went out the door. "Where are you going, boy?" "Over to the bakery for some stale buns." "Attaboy, attaboy." Marcus? Yeah? Get a little coffee on your way back." "Okay, okay." Booker watched his son turn from the front path into the road. He rubbed his stubbly chin in a moment of thought, gulped another mouthful of brandy, and returned to his greasy palate. That same morning Newt was scraping down the hog troughs when he heard Pete's voice at the barn door. "Must have been working extra hard on Lucky. Coat smooth as silk. She's a good girl. Be two this fall." Pete asked questions more directly than Newt had anticipated. "You know anything about that killing?" "The killing?" His mind was racing. "Yeah, the killing." "No, no, I just said that. Remember, I'm your brother, your own flesh and blood. You got to tell me the honest-to-God truth." Newt had thought at first he might be able to confide in his older brother. Now he felt it would be impossible to compromise Pete's honesty. He'd tell Mama for sure, he thought. "What makes you think I ain't going to tell the truth? You ain't giving me the chance to answer you." "Okay, now you got the chance. Go ahead." "Okay, then." He feigned anger, stalling for time. "Let me say what I want to say." "Go ahead, I'm listening." "All I said before was I've been doing some hoeing for Jake lately." "Not lately, Newt. Saturday. Ain't that right?" "Yeah, that's right. Well, I left early in the afternoon, 'cause I didn't think Jake would get back before 5 or 6. And since Silas was fired and Mrs. Kiner was away, I sort of took off." "Well, why'd you get so shaky yesterday when you told Papa, and then I tried to back out of it the next minute?" "I thought you caught on to what I was doing. I got to thinking real quick that Papa would give me hell for sneaking off the job like that. You know how he is, Pete. You know how, as well as I do, it's crazy to get messed up in something like this if you don't have to." "Then you don't know anything about the killing?" Newt's look of innocence contrived his answer. You know doggone well I don't. I was just scared stiff because I knew how close I was to it. Okay, I see your point now, but if you're
Tyler, get to work.
Go around killing people, telling people you're there on the day of the killing, you're going to find right yourself in the middle of it. Relief swept me. You're right, Pete. I'm keeping my mouth shut from here on.